Okay, this is the second video for key issue 2 of chapter 11. To recap this slide, when there became a demand for steel in the mid 1800s to the mid 1900s, the two main inputs, like your ingredients, what you use to make your product, the two main inputs to make steel are iron ore and coal. Those were mainly found, I'm going to skip ahead here. Those were mainly found along what's known as this Mesabi Range up here and in the Midwest. You can see right here, here's some major iron ore deposits, along with up here in like northern Wisconsin and Minnesota. And so because of that, the vast majority of steel mills were found in the Midwest and Pennsylvania because of the proximity, the closeness to this iron ore and coal. It's really heavy stuff. So you don't want to have a steel mill in California when you're getting your inputs from Wisconsin and Minnesota. Those companies located as close to their inputs, their ingredients, as possible to minimize transportation costs. That kind of is that's the main factor here, minimizing transportation cost. But over time, it became easier to make steel. New technology and new types of ingredients or inputs were found that you could still make the same type of steel. And because these lighter inputs were found in other places, there's been a shift away from Pennsylvania and the Midwest for the steel landscape.
Just wanted to make a little reminder to everybody that it's one of the first snows, and we've been hearing a lot of reports about a lot of ice and roads being not that great. So please be very careful and drive slowly when you are leaving today. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
All right. So you got to hear Mr. Podgorski's announcement. So over time, what's happened is you could tell this is steel mills in the mid to late 20th century, like late 1900s. But today, if you flash forward about 20 or 30 years, you can tell where all the steel mills are located, and what you have the advent of what are known as mini mills. These are like mini steel mills that use lighter inputs, different types of inputs to make steel. And so because of that, you don't have to locate near Minnesota and Wisconsin anymore, or Pennsylvania. You could have your steel mills throughout the rest of the country. And that way it's easier to get your product to markets in Texas and Arizona, California, places like that. This is a true-false statement. Just wanted to check your understanding. Today, most steel factories are located in the Great Lakes due to the heavy weight of inputs. That statement would be false. Today, many steel factories are located along the East Coast, some in the South, Midwest, because now there's lighter inputs that you can use. So it's easier to locate your facilities, your factories. Some site factors. Again, this is a recap from the first slide. Remember, land, labor, and capital are the three factors that a business considers when just determining where to locate their business. Is there available labor? What type of land are you looking for? Cities and urban areas, or are you looking for rural areas? Is there banks that you can borrow money from to start up your business? Is there available technology, skills, equipment that you can use in this area? If you're a textile industry, an industry that uses a lot of human labor, you're going to tend to locate in less developed countries. Why? Because it's much cheaper to pay workers there. If you're a labor-intensive industry, somebody that uses a lot of labor to make their product, you're going to be paying your workers. That's going to be the main part of your cost to make a product. And so because of that, you're going to try and pay the cheapest wages as possible. Those would be found in less developed countries. The workers in less developed countries tend to take cheaper wages than workers in more developed countries. Here's a quick question. Where do you think Silicon Valley is? Where do you think it's located? Why? We talked about this in the opener today. Silicon Valley is located in Northern California. And Silicon Valley would be considered what's known as a growth pole. A growth pole is an area that tends to attract businesses, aka firms, due to their high levels of capital, lots of available money to be loaned out there, skilled labor, you have a lot of skilled workers, and break of bulk points. So your shipping routes, your ports, your airports, those tend to be around these growth poles. Two examples of growth poles in the United States. Silicon Valley would be one. These are all the startup companies that were started up in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley started up as a part of Stanford University. Stanford University had an engineering program, and they were giving grants to engineering students who wanted to start their own business. And so that blossomed into what Silicon Valley is today. Today, all these companies concentrate here because there's a lot of skilled workers from Stanford, from a lot of the other universities in the area. It's right off the Pacific, so it's easy to ship. And there's a lot of consumers around there. California is a pretty populated state. The Research Triangle is found in northern North Carolina by Duke University and North Carolina University. So you get a lot of quality college graduates that can work there. These are some companies that are located in the Research Triangle. They locate there because there's a lot of consumers there. North Carolina is along the East Coast as well. Some ports, good airports, and high-skilled labor. This is the exit slip for today. So pretend your friend was absent from class today. Write what you would say if you had to explain the lesson. So I guess you don't have to write this down, but look back through the notes. Make sure you understand the difference between site and situation factors, growth poles, know what a growth pole is, why a growth pole attracts quality workers, know the difference between bulk gaining and bulk reducing industries, and the relation of transportation cost and deciding where to locate a business. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good rest of the day.